Let me start with something that's going to make you uncomfortable. Every romantic movie you've ever watched lied to you. Every love song you've ever heard programmed you wrong. Every piece of dating advice from your mom, your friends, your teachers set you up for failure. And the worst part? It was all deliberate. Society has been feeding you a beautiful fairy tale because the truth about human attraction is too dark, too primal, too uncomfortable for most people to accept. But you're here because you're ready for the truth. So let me ask you something. Have you ever wondered why the girl who said she wants a nice, caring guy always ends up with someone who treats her like an option? Have you ever seen a woman say she wants respect, loyalty, and commitment, but then obsess over the guy who barely texts her back? This isn't a coincidence. This isn't bad luck. This is biology. And once you understand it, you'll never be confused again. Here's what they don't teach you in school. The human brain, specifically the female brain when it comes to attraction, is not designed for happiness. It's designed for survival. And survival, in evolutionary terms, meant one thing: choose the strongest genetic material for your offspring. Now here's where it gets dark. Strength didn't mean the nicest guy. It didn't mean the most loyal guy. It meant the guy who could dominate his environment, the guy who other men feared, the guy who was unpredictable and dangerous. Because in a world of predators and tribal warfare, the gentle, predictable, always available man, he didn't survive, and his genes didn't get passed on. So women evolved a specific psychological mechanism, and listen carefully because this is the key to everything. Women are attracted to emotional intensity, not emotional stability. Let me say that again because it contradicts everything you've been told. Women don't want calm, they want chaos they can't control. They don't want predictable, they want uncertainty that keeps them guessing. They don't want the guy who's always there, they want the guy who might leave. And I know what you're thinking, but that's toxic, that's manipulation. And you're right, it is toxic. But here's the brutal truth. Her rational mind knows it's toxic. Her evolutionary programming doesn't care. This is why you see intelligent, successful, educated women making terrible relationship choices. Because attraction doesn't happen in the logical brain. It happens in the primal brain, the same brain that's 200,000 years old and hasn't updated its software. Now, let me break down the 3 dark psychological triggers that activate this primal attraction. And I'm warning you, once you see this, you can't unsee it. You know what's fascinating? The same woman who ignores your good morning text will check her phone 47 times waiting for a message from the guy who ghosted her for 3 days. Why? Because scarcity creates value. And the human brain, especially when it comes to mating, is hardwired to want what it can't have. This is why being too available kills attraction. When you're always there, always responding, always saying yes, you become abundant, and abundant things have no value. The guy who's busy, who's unpredictable, who has other options, he's scarce, and scarcity triggers obsession. Scientists did an experiment. They gave people 2 scenarios. Scenario A, you definitely get $50. Scenario B, you have a 50% chance of getting $100. Logically, both have the same value, but guess what activates more dopamine in the brain? The uncertain option. Because uncertainty creates what psychologists call intermittent reinforcement, the same mechanism that makes gambling addictive. When she knows you like her, when she knows you'll text back, when she knows you'll always be there, the dopamine stops flowing. But when she's not sure, when sometimes you're warm, sometimes you're cold, when you can't predict your next move, that's when her brain gets addicted to you. And here's the darkest one. Women are biologically programmed to be attracted to men who display social dominance. Not dominance over her, that's abuse. I'm talking about dominance over your environment, over other men, over your own emotions. This is why confidence is attractive, why ambition is attractive, why a man who stands his ground, who doesn't seek approval, who has a strong frame, triggers something primal. Because 200,000 years ago, the dominant male got the resources, got the protection, got the best chance of survival, and her DNA still remembers.
So, in Chapter 1, you discovered the uncomfortable truth about attraction. You learned about the scarcity effect, the uncertainty principle, and the dominance display. But now you're probably asking the question that separates boys from men. How do I actually use this without becoming a manipulative asshole? Because here's the thing, knowledge is dangerous when it's misused. You now understand the psychological triggers that make women obsessed, but with great power comes great responsibility. And that's exactly what this chapter is about. I'm going to show you the exact framework, the specific behaviors, tactics, and communication patterns that trigger primal attraction while adding value to her life, not destroying it. Because the difference between a master and a manipulator is simple. A manipulator uses these triggers to take. A master uses these triggers to create genuine desire. And by the end of this chapter, you'll know exactly how to become the second one. Let's begin. Let's start with scarcity, because this is where most men completely mess up. They think scarcity means ignoring her, playing games, being an asshole. Wrong. Real scarcity comes from having a valuable life that she wants to be part of. Here's the framework. The scarcity trinity. 1. Time scarcity. You're not ignoring her, you're genuinely busy building something that matters. When she texts, you don't respond in 30 seconds, like you've been waiting by the phone, but you also don't play the stupid 3-day rule game. You respond when you naturally have time. Maybe that's 2 hours, maybe it's 6 hours. Not because you're calculating, but because you were actually doing something important. The key? When you do respond, be fully present. Give her quality attention, not quantity. This creates natural scarcity without manipulation. Stop making her the center of your universe. You have hobbies, you have goals, you have friends, you have a mission. When you're with her, she gets 100% of your attention. But when you're not with her, you're focused on your life. This is what high-value men do naturally. They don't orbit around women. Women orbit around them. This is the most powerful one. Don't give away your emotional investment too early. She hasn't earned your deep feelings yet. She needs to qualify herself to you, not the other way around. This doesn't mean being cold. It means being selective about who gets access to your emotional world. Think about it. Do you respect someone who falls in love with you after one conversation? Or do you respect someone whose respect has to be earned? Women are the same way. They don't value what comes too easily. Now let's talk about uncertainty, and this is where it gets really interesting. Most guys think uncertainty means being unpredictable in a chaotic way, hot and cold, nice one day, mean the next. That's not uncertainty. That's just being unstable. Real uncertainty is about creating emotional range. Here's how you do it. The push-pull technique. This is the most powerful psychological tool in attraction. Push means creating distance or tension. Pull means creating closeness or warmth, and you alternate between them strategically. Example, push. You know, you're kind of trouble, I can tell. Creates tension. Pull, but I like that about you. Creates warmth. Push, taking a step back when she gets too comfortable. Pull, pulling her in close when she starts to pull away. This creates an emotional roller coaster that her brain interprets as excitement. But here's the key. You're not doing this to manipulate her. You're doing this because it's honest. You're genuinely interested, pull, but you also have standards and boundaries, push. The variable reward system. Sometimes you're available Friday night, sometimes you're not. Sometimes you text back quickly, sometimes you're busy. Sometimes you're very affectionate, sometimes you're more reserved. But here's the critical part. This is not a game. This is your real life. You're not pretending to be busy, you're actually busy building your empire. You're not faking indifference, you're genuinely focused on your mission. When your life is full of purpose, this uncertainty happens naturally. The emotional spike strategy. Create moments of intense emotional highs. Take her on an adventure she didn't expect. Do something spontaneous that breaks the routine. Challenge her in a playful way. Create inside jokes and shared secrets. But also, and this is crucial, know when to pull back. After a really amazing date, don't text her immediately. Let that high settle. Let her miss it. Let her wonder when she'll feel that way again. This is how you create addiction without being addictive. Now the big one, dominance. This is the most misunderstood trigger because society has demonized masculinity. But let me be clear, dominance is not controlling her. It's about controlling yourself and your environment. Here's the framework. The 4 pillars of masculine dominance. Pillar 1, frame control. Your frame is your reality, your worldview, your standards. A man with strong frame doesn't argue his position, he simply holds it. Example, her, why don't you ever post me on social media? Weak frame, oh sorry, I'll post you right now. Strong frame, I don't post my personal life online, that's my boundary. No explanation, no justification, just your standard. Women test your frame constantly, not because they're malicious, but because they need to know if you're really strong or just pretending. Every time you hold your frame, attraction increases. Every time you break your frame, attraction dies. Pillar 2, decisive leadership. Stop asking for permission, start making decisions. Weak, where do you want to eat? Strong, I'm taking you to this Italian place, you'll love it. Weak, is this okay with you? Strong, this is what we're doing. But here's the key, you're making decisions based on what you genuinely think is best, not just being bossy. And if she has a legitimate concern, you listen and adjust, because true leadership includes wisdom. Pillar 3, emotional mastery. This is huge. Women are attracted to men who are less emotional than they are. Not emotionless, less emotional. When she's anxious, you're calm. When she's dramatic, you're grounded. When she's in chaos, you're the rock. This doesn't mean you don't have feelings, it means you're not controlled by them. A woman wants to feel safe in your emotional stability. The moment you're more emotional than her, she loses respect. Pillar 4, status and ambition. This is the harsh truth. Women are attracted to men who are going somewhere. You don't need to be rich, you don't need to be famous, but you do need to have a mission bigger than her. You need to be building something, creating something, becoming something. Because a man with purpose is a man with power, and power is the ultimate aphrodisiac. When she sees other people respect you, when she sees you grinding towards your goals, when she sees you won't sacrifice your mission for her, that's when she becomes obsessed, because she wants to be chosen by a man who has options, not a man who has nothing else. So now you have the complete framework: scarcity through genuine value, uncertainty through emotional range, dominance through self-mastery. But here's what separates ethical attraction from manipulation: intention. Are you doing this to get something from her? That's manipulation. Are you doing this while genuinely being a high-value man? That's attraction. The tactics are the same, the intention is different. A manipulator uses scarcity to control. A high-value man is scarce because his life is full. A manipulator uses uncertainty to confuse. A high-value man creates emotional range because he's real. A manipulator uses dominance to abuse. A high-value man displays dominance through self-mastery. So see the difference? You're not pretending to be high value, you're becoming high value. And these tactics are just the natural expression of that. Now, here's the question. You have the knowledge, you have the framework, but knowledge without action is worthless.